Well, Rachel, thanks for coming in and welcome to the 5 Ways to Wellbeing podcast.
Thank you.
It's the fifth episode we've done of this podcast, and I have a way of selecting guests. I try and pick people that have had a conversation with me about mental health. And during your first workshop on the Masters programme with Consalia, we were outside a restaurant and you sort of caught my attention with what you were saying about mental health. So maybe you could start by saying, why is mental health important to you?
I think mental health is an increasing concern for a lot of people. It's being voiced a lot more now than it used to be. But people are being a lot more open about it now. There's a lot more support out there. And actually, it's okay to not be okay. And it's recognising when you're feeling low or you see someone that might be feeling low and being able to support and take action to be able to help yourself or those around you who are struggling.
Yeah. Do you find that you do that a lot yourself? Like you look for opportunities to help people?
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, I have a lot of interaction with, obviously friends, family, within the work environment. And if I feel that someone's having a low day, for example, I'll send a message, a smiley face, or here to chat. The door's open, always welcome. Yeah.
And where do you think that sort of caring side comes from? Have you experienced any challenges with mental health yourself?
I have. I've, suffered with anxiety in the past, and actually I'm a lot stronger now. I went through some counselling quite a few years back, which brought me out the other side.
Great.
And has taught me to be a stronger person, but not only to be strong, but to recognise it and to get the support you need. And all I want to do is to give that back, recognise when I need support and how to pick myself up and resources, but to recognise it in others as well, and just to kind of be empathetic and understanding and just be there for whoever needs my help.
Yeah. And do you know what? That's the whole point of this podcast, is to have sales professionals, sales leaders like yourself to come on, talk about their experiences. In the context of this podcast, we're talking about well-being, and it's so important for people to see other individuals in the sales profession talking about mental health openly, because it just creates that sort of safe environment for people to feel comfortable in. Before we get into the 5 ways to wellbeing, would you mind introducing what you do for work and who you work for?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Rachel Baker. I work for Autoglass in the UK. I'm a business development manager, so predominantly canvassing, prospecting and onboarding new clients.
Very good, yeah. How do you find the work? Do you find working in sales to be stressful?
It's always challenging.
Yeah.
But for me, I used to do a bit of account managing as well.
Yeah.
But for me, the new business side of things has always been important to me, because I like to get to know people, build rapport, and just kind of build those relationships from nothing right up to kind of onboarding stage. And having spent a long time talking to a lot of these people and gaining trust, to me, that's one of the most important things, is like honesty, integrity, and just being open from the start. And I think that really helps you to build good relationships with people, never over-promising, under-delivering, just, exactly what it says on the tin, really. But I just really enjoy the interaction.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe even some of your customers will be able to listen to the podcast and, learn more about you, because, it's true, people buy from people, and, this will shine a light on the fact that you are, caring, you want to help people, and you're willing to be honest about your experiences.
Absolutely. If I can help people, then all the better. So
how do you know Consalia then? So do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about your journey with becoming an apprentice?
Yep. So I've been with Autoglass for 3.5 years, and I reached out to our education department within Autoglass, and then found out about apprenticeships. I've always wanted to do a diploma or degree, having not done university when I was younger. It was quite scary when I was looking into it, but I think it's never too late. I'm the wrong side of 40, but I'm doing it and I'm proud that I'm doing it. So yes, I had a chat with our apprenticeship manager, who then put me in touch with various people, came up with Consalia, Middlesex. I went on your website. I read all about the different courses, and I don't know if you remember, I reached out initially about the sales degree,
Yeah,
which was
I remember.
the level 6. But actually having the conversation with you, I was kind of already doing all the things that would have been covered in that course.
Yeah.
So the next step was, I think you need the challenge, go for the level 7, because ultimately, I want to be a senior sales leader.
Yeah.
So this would put me in good stead for that. And actually the course so far has been amazing. I have learnt so much. When you first sign up to kind of a sales diploma, sales degree, your first instinct is, how are you selling and what are you doing and all your USPs, but it's not been about that in the beginning, is it? It's, as you know, the course, it's all about, the values, beliefs, mindsets, understanding people, and really getting to the bottom of your whole team and how it works and how we all come together and support each other. And I think like the diversity, inclusion aspect to that is phenomenal. And actually from the first 2 modules, I held a workshop day.
Right.
So everything I'd kind of learned on module 1 and 2, I then went back and did a full module day with my team to share what I'd learned, and it went down, incredibly well. I couldn't have wanted it to go better. Everyone said, "Oh my God, I didn't think about that. Now I'm looking at things in a different way," and I've learned so much from it. So just from me doing this course, I've then given, loads of information to my team members to be able to do the same.
Give back. Yeah.
So it's really good.
That's something that we hope every student does, is that they take the learning from the classroom and they share it in the workplace. So I'm really glad you're doing that. And so I think it's a really good time to talk about learn as one of the 5 ways of wellbeing. So taken from the Mind website, it says, we're always learning new things, often without realising it. Feeling like you're learning and developing can boost your self-esteem. And there are so many subtle ways we can learn. It's not always just signing up to do a master's in sales leadership. But generally speaking, how have you found that doing the master's with Consalia has that impacted and improved your mental health? Has it boosted your self-esteem, perhaps?
It definitely has. It's something that I never thought I would be able to do, to be honest. But having started this course, like I said to you already, I've learnt so much and I feel quite empowered. And the things that I'm learning along the way will stay with me now forever. Yeah. And again, to be able to give that back and share it for me, I am proud of myself. As you know, we were talking earlier about my home life. Obviously, marriage and kids, and I've got a pony and a full-time job, and life is busy.
Yeah.
It's really, really busy and, can get fractures sometimes because there's so much to do, but you just make the time. I wanted to do this course. Yeah. So I make the time for it. And, I'm really proud of myself for being able to achieve what I have done so far. So long may it continue.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like a lot of people view learning or the opportunity to learn as actually potentially stress-inducing. So you could say a lot of people think it would be bad for their mental health to take on learning as an opportunity. But what you're saying is actually the opposite. If you carve out the time for yourself, you can increase your self-esteem. You can be proud of what you're doing. What about like smaller sort of learning opportunities? Is there anything that you particularly enjoy learning? Like it might be a new skill.
I'm always open to learning any new skill really within the business. There's lots of things still that I would like to do in my current role. But I think as a person, learning and growing is key anyway. So I wouldn't say there's kind of a specific. There's still loads more to learn on this course, for example. And I know that I really enjoyed the coaching model. Yeah. So I'd like to perhaps, take that a bit further and look into whether I can do some more coaching within the work environment or even outside of that with family members. I found that incredibly rewarding. And also it built really good, trustworthy relationships as well. Having, people talk about things they potentially perhaps wouldn't have talked about otherwise. Yeah. With the questions that you kind of ask, have you done this and what did you do about that and what else? And the answers that came up with, they were empowered. They were like, wow, I've never thought of doing that before. And, it was just really rewarding. So that's probably something that I might look to pick up in the future.
Yeah. What did you enjoy the most about learning about coaching?
I think it was building such a great relationship that they could really open up and tell me exactly how they're feeling.
Yeah.
I couldn't always say the right thing. Obviously, you're prompting more with coaching rather than, what's the word I'm looking for?
Directing, maybe?
Coaching, mentoring. Yeah,
okay.
So it would be very easy for me to fall into a mentoring situation.
Yeah.
Because we're in the same business. But with coaching, it's really about getting that person to open up and come up with their own ideas to enhance their own job or their own skill. So that was really rewarding for me.
So you could always say there are mental health benefits to coaching as opposed to adopting a mentoring perspective or attitude to the way you deal with colleagues?
Yeah, definitely. I think through coaching you get people to think for themselves, and actually some of the answers they would come up with would absolutely improve their mental health. If it's a different way of working or whether it's their, a massive overload of pressure of work or, whatever it might be, it's having that discussion. So if you are feeling stressed, what could you do about that? Yeah. And what else could you do about that? And what else, and it's just coming up with those ideas to help their mental health.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 5-minute walk, down the road or a bit of fresh air or whatever it was, just the little things add up that can benefit.
Yeah, that was interesting. I've recently had a career coach, which is someone who was studying the ILM coaching qualification, and a lot of the things I looked at in my coaching sessions were like purpose of life and what makes me happy, like how will I find greater fulfillment in my career, perhaps by like making changes in my current job, like within the current workplace, but how can I do things differently? So could I spend more time doing podcasts, which I really enjoy doing, helping people with their mental health and so forth. So I found that was useful actually, and it was just a way to clear my head as a coachee. So that was really, really good for my mental well-being. Aside from the course that you're doing, the master's program, how do you find, let's say learning a new skill then? So you do horse riding?
Yes, I try.
You try? So is that
when I have the time.
Is that a constant experience of learning?
Always. Yeah, you're always... I've been riding for many years, but yeah, you're constantly learning. Not all horses are the same, so it's, different ways of going, getting to know their characters. But yeah, you're constantly learning. Every time you get on, you're learning something new. So yeah, something I enjoy doing in my free time. And
does that improve your well-being if you're learning something which is outside of your normal day? Yes, I think you need that downtime as well. Especially in a sales environment, it's busy. It's a fast pace of life. It's incredibly busy all the time. So having that time out to just totally clear your head and just be at one with the horse, and learn things in a different skill other than your main job, is also quite empowering as well. It's interesting, and taking time out for like physical exercise, like horse riding. That's also one of the 5 ways to well-being is to be active. So how is that your main source of like leisure time? Is it horse riding or do you do stuff like, do you go running, do you go to the gym? Is there anything? If I had time. How do you exhibit that way in your life? How do you find the time to be active? So I've got a dog as well. She's quite old now, bless her. So we don't go too far, but during the day or even at 10 minutes at lunchtime or at the end of my working day, I'll take the time to go out with her as well. Yeah. Just get out in the fresh air, in the countryside, and just clear my head that way. But where my horse is kept, it's, very rural anyway. So when you're there, you just feel lost in the countryside and peace. So it's very good for your mental health to be around animals as well. Yeah. So that's something a few of the other guests on this podcast have said about when they talk about the get active way of well-being, they say that what makes it so useful for their mental well-being is that they're going to a different physical location. So often, like our stresses that we carry are attached to a certain location or an activity. So if we're stressed about work and we work in an office, for example, then it might be useful to go to a gym in the evening or go to a CrossFit centre and so forth. So I can really relate to that with dog walking. That's probably for me one of the most peaceful times of the day in the evening when I get to walk my dog.
Switch off.
Sorry?
Switch off.
Yeah. It's all about switching off. I'm lucky where I live is in the countryside as well, and I just like being away from technology. So I do usually have music with me, so that just adds to the experience. But other than my phone, which is playing my music, I don't have any emails or communications coming in from other people. To switch off is really nice.
Yeah, it's so important, I think, because a lot of people still are home based. So, for example, in my job, majority of the time I am home based, unless I'm travelling, seeing clients, which is lovely, being out and about. But if I'm at home, it's also my work environment. So I need to switch off and go out for that walk, go for a ride to clear my head, because otherwise I'm in effect in my work environment the whole time.
Yeah, I can see how home working can be negative for mental well-being if we don't find any detachment from work to being outside of work. So I guess it's really important to actually do things that are physical or outside the home space.
And it is difficult if you're having a busy day, or if I'm having a busy day, it is hard to switch off. And I won't lie, I've sat there sometimes all day and haven't moved. And I'm at home. And I'm thinking, I really should take a break, and I'm really conscious of that now. Yeah. So, even if it is just for 5 minutes, or if I'm having a really crazy day, just 5 minutes, just walk the dog up the road and back, just to refresh. Because that 5 minutes makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
When you reset, refresh yourself, and then go again. But it is really important, and I think it's very easy to not do that.
Yeah, it's easy to not do it, but there's an important message in what you said there about it only has to be 5 or 10 minutes. So, for people looking to improve their mental well-being, to carve out a little bit of time for the 5 ways to well-being. Yeah. It can be really simple as, switching off and taking a 10-minute walk. Yeah. Like if we were to, revisit the topic of learning, it could be switching off by just reading a book for 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big, intervention. It doesn't have to be fully thought through. That's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is we're not, none of us are mental health specialists.
Not at all, no.
We're just salespeople who are talking about mental health and our own experiences of trying to improve our well-being. That's the crux of it. Is it's really simple. And people listening, hopefully, they'll be encouraged to take those simple steps to improve their mental well-being.
Yeah, and we've all been there, like I say, sitting at the desk all day and, massive workload, and it's very easy to sit there and just let the stress overcome you. But I go and I have that 5-minute, 10-minute walk, and then, I'll come back and I'll write, okay, then prioritise everything again, make sure I reorganise, if you like. Yeah. And then it just flows so much better rather than sitting there and worrying about all these things. You just reset yourself and say, right, it's okay now. I know exactly what I'm doing, but it's so important just to take that time to reset.
I like that. So one of the other ways to well-being is connect. So it tells us it's like the opposite. It's like the antidote to isolation. It tells us that, and it's kind of obvious as well, like it will improve our mental well-being to be connected with other people. So it says this, it says, connecting with others can help us feel close to people and valued for who we are. Being social means different things for different people. You might prefer being in quiet situations with one other person, or you might like being in big groups. you might like to connect with people online, or you might enjoy phone calls or sending letters. And there are so many different ways we can connect with people. Like Rachel, you say you work from home a lot of the time, or you could be out travelling on the road. So there are a lot of times in your job and in the lives of a lot of salespeople that can be quite lonely, which is contrasting to people say it's true. It's a very social job, sales. It requires really good social skills to be a successful salesperson. But equally, there's a lot of downtime being on our own in sales. So how do you ensure that you're connecting with other people? Are there any ways that you, in your professional life, make sure that you're connecting with friends or colleagues?
Yeah, well, I check in with colleagues on a regular basis. Anyway, just to check in. How are you? Hope everything's okay. I have a couple of calls with a couple of colleagues, one on a Wednesday, one on a Friday. Just literally a catch up to say any queries, what's happening in your world, how is everything. But I'm really fortunate that I've got the best team. They're so supportive. So from managers to colleagues. So we have regular check-ins. So we'll have like a Monday meeting, one on Thursdays. We'll have a one-to-one most weeks as well. So as a team, we're all there to support each other. And we all know outside of that if anything wants to be discussed or if somebody wants to talk, then kind of the door's always open.
Yeah.
So connectivity is really important. I'm really fortunate to have such a good team.
And that's part of your culture at Autoglass as well. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a number of mental health first aid trained people.
Yes, we do.
At Autoglass, is it a requirement for leadership roles as well?
Our managers have mental health training.
Yeah.
And we also have access to phone lines, helplines, for any number of mental health reasons if needed. As a company, they're fantastic at recognising, and they invest heavily in their people, and we are really valued, and that's what I love about the company that I work for. You feel constantly supported and looked after.
And then that creates that environment where everyone's more connected with each other.
It's like a little family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's great. It's great to hear directly from you how you perceive it to be positive. Because there are so many accolades we can give out or certifications with regards to mental health, which aren't necessarily verified by the human experience. So it's great to hear what you think makes Autoglass a great place to work.
Oh, it's fantastic. And even up to, sort of MD level, if I'm in the office, he'll take the time to come and see me, how are you? How have you been? How are your children? It's all very open and friendly. And I think that really what makes our culture. We're very inclusive and caring.
And what about like outside of work then? How do you find the time to connect with friends and family?
I'm very lucky that my sister lives over the road.
All right, yeah.
So even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, we'll probably see each other, every other day at least. And it's work. I've got friends in the village as well. And then in regards to family, I FaceTime my dad quite a lot. My parents-in-law, I speak onto the phone a lot. So I've got a good friend network around me as well, and we try to get together as much as we possibly can. So I've got a good network outside of work as well.
And is that must be really important when you've gone through the tougher times. So you mentioned that you've had experience of anxiety. How did that support network you had, how did that come into play when you were going through those more challenging times?
Oh, my friends and family are amazing. They just do rally round and just come and support you. So my mother-in-law was amazing. She was, incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Likewise, my husband, my sister, they all helped, supported, and, recognised I wasn't feeling great. And we just kind of went from there, really. But I've got really lucky, got a good support network. I mean, it was quite a few years ago now. But it really taught me to be aware. Not just of myself, but other people. And I think that's where that empathetic nature comes from, because having gone through anxiety myself, and it wasn't a nice time, but I came through it, and I think it's so important to be there to support others.
Yeah, I think, peer support in mental health is so important. I think we can relate our own experiences to each other and create a connection with each other greater than, let's say, like a medical professional could. I've found that I've done peer mentoring with people with bipolar, so like young males with bipolar. I've gone and done peer mentoring because they can relate to me. I've been in their shoes, so I've worked with people who are like new to bipolar, like they've just had a diagnosis, and I'm able to share what my experiences were like at the time. And that's the same with you with anxiety as well. You've been able to, share your experiences to help other people, which I think is great.
Yeah, and I never thought I'd be kind of where I am today, and that's only because of all the support network that I've had that has given me the strength to believe in myself and get where I am today.
Nice. Well, let's take a look at altruism as a topic. So the 5 Ways to Wellbeing framework suggests that it labels give as one of the 5 ways to wellbeing. So it talks about the inherent mental health benefits of giving our time or our resources. I mean, time can be considered a resource, but just giving to other people. If we perhaps relate that back to your recent experience of coaching, so you've gone away, you've learnt the skill, and then to implement that, you've gone and given your time as a coach free of charge to a number of colleagues. Is it that you coached? How did you find that? Did that improve your mental well-being? Did that make you feel like doing something wholesome, doing something for someone without expecting anything in return? Could you talk about did that improve your mental well-being? Was that good for your mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not afraid of giving up my time for anybody to help in any situation. But to be able to have that time and have them open up and, like I said before, come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things that they wouldn't have thought of before, it's incredibly rewarding. And I'm quite happy. And as a company, I think I've spoken to you about Autoglass before, we support Africa Tikkun, which is a charity in South Africa, and every year we have our Spirit of Belron event.
Okay.
And we come from all over, sort of globally, and we all come together in September. We run, swim, cycle, all different events to raise money for this charity, and it's over a weekend. So everybody who can possibly make it gives their time, and raised a phenomenal amount last year, like 2.3 million euros.
Really?
So Africa Tikkun works to end child poverty and youth unemployment in South Africa.
Okay.
So again, that's a massive thing for Belron and for Autoglass that we do every year alongside other charities and things as well. And in fact, one of my new clients has just asked me to a charity day on the 14th of September, which again is a Saturday, but I'm going to go and support and do what I can, because I think it's really important. And it's for, am I allowed to say what the charity is?
Yeah, of course, yeah, please.
Dougie Mac.
Yeah.
It's,
and what do they do?
It's hospice.
Yeah.
In Staffordshire way. So I need to do a little bit more research around that. But yeah, really looking forward to being able to go and support and just give my time and see how I can help with that, and potentially, who knows, run some different events off the back of that. Yeah. So yeah, it's sorry, I've got off a tangent from the coaching.
No, it's nice.
It's just, as a company, we're all about giving back, and me personally and all of our team, we're all the same. So to be able to help my coachees, and again, I'd like to learn more about that. Yeah. And see, what else can I do? How else can I help? What could I improve on my coaching journey, which I've done the module on, for next time. So if we have some more coaching sessions, what could I do better to improve the outcome next time? Yeah.
We were talking about this on an earlier podcast, the concept of giving, whether it's, whatever resources it might be or your time. We were saying that the reason giving is beneficial for someone's mental well-being is for the time they spend helping others is a time they're not thinking about themselves. And to be overly concerned with oneself is very similar to self-pity. If we overanalyze our own shortcomings, we can easily get into a negative frame of mind. The antidote to that, therefore, is to help others and spend time thinking about other people, to be selfless. And it sounds to me like the work you do with charities that you light up when you're talking about it is great for your mental health for that reason. So you're not thinking about yourself anymore. You're fully focused on what you can do for other people.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I do love the giving aspect of it, but I think it's very important to be self-aware as well.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you're thinking about other things at that time,
Yeah.
you've still got your mental health to think about,
Yeah.
and you have to look after you as well, and recognise when you are having a dip, or who to reach out to, or who can support you. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand, really. Yes, it's great to give, and I love giving, but also it's really important to understand yourself as well, and make sure that you're in a position to be able to support yourself and others.
Yeah, almost like the phrase "charity starts at home." We need to be in a good place before we can help other people. Yeah, I like that. Okay, are there any other ways that you feel that you give to other people in terms of maybe your time?
Like I said, it's just most people that know me just know it's an open door. You know,
Yeah?
if they want to reach out, if they want to talk to me, they know you can. You know, I regularly check in with other people. I make sure I check in with family, friends, and I know who I can reach out to if I'm having a bad day, for example, and a bit stressed and think, because it's normal, it's human nature.
Yeah.
But it's how you manage that and who you talk to help you manage that, to kind of bring you back on track again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think we've kind of gone through it all, really. Just, the freedom of exercise and being outdoors and taking time for yourself is really important.
Yeah. Okay, nice one. Well, that's give. That's, like I say, one of the 5 ways to wellbeing. We've talked about your experiences of learning and how that can improve your mental well-being. We've talked about how you stay active and you improve your mental well-being by doing so. And we've also talked about how you, in your role and also in your personal life, how you ensure you're connecting with other people. So that brings on to the final way of well-being that we're going to talk about today, which is to take notice. I think this one's really important not just in sales, but for anyone in any profession or any walk of life, that we can enjoy the moment we're living in, because it can be so easy when we're stressed to be absorbed by the task in hand, or to get tunnel vision and forget to appreciate the small things in life. So take notice says it's reminding yourself to take notice can help you to be aware of how you're feeling. It can help you understand what triggers your feelings of stress or anxiety. Some studies have shown that savouring the moment can also help you to feel more positive about life. So if we focus on that last bit, to savouring the moment, how do you... Is that something you do explicitly? Do you conscientiously try and savour the moment in your professional life or your personal life, or does that just happen naturally?
I think it probably just happens naturally. I can't remember being in a meeting or anything and savouring the moment. Maybe later, you kind of reflect on that. So there might be some really good things that happen, maybe a real challenge that I had at work that I was really anxious about, really nervous about. We had the meeting, it went incredibly well. Then you stop and take a step back and you really reflect on it.
Yeah.
That's one of the major things I've learned on this course is reflect all the time.
Yeah.
And you're continually learning. But if you actually reflect and think about that moment, then I could say, that went really well. I'm really proud of myself. Actually, that was really good. The right things were said, or I did the right thing, or, you know, but I think reflection is incredibly important because you don't always savour that moment. You know, and actually, before I started to do this course, that moment would have come and gone, and I perhaps wouldn't have given it another thought. But now, I think differently and reflect on most of the things I do, because then you're learning as well.
Like reflecting in action.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, you know, that went amazingly well, well done, proud of myself. Or that went really well, but maybe I could do that next time. And that would have made it even better. You know, but I think in sales, you're constantly learning anyway. And I think in life, you're constantly learning. You know, nothing is easy, nothing's straightforward. And life is all about living and learning.
I like that. How about taking notice of your surroundings then? If we think about like physical surroundings, like being in nature, is that something that you enjoy doing? Is that something that improves your mental health?
Yes, so around the horses specifically, or out, like say, when walking the dog, just seeing nature around you. You know, I like the autumn, not that I'm wishing autumn on us, but, you know, I love all the autumn colours.
Well, it's coming soon.
Oh, I know. Hopefully not just yet. But yeah, just oozing nature really, isn't it? You know, you see the squirrels, the birds, you listen to the birds, you know, watching the animals, being up the yard with the horses. It's an escape, isn't it? It's just somewhere you can just be at peace and switch off and appreciate what you have around you. Yeah. And who you have around you.
There's something about appealing to all of the senses almost, isn't it? The different smells, the different sounds, the different sights that you see. I think a change in the environment has the ability to change the mood at which one is feeling. And that is probably my favourite of the 5 ways of wellbeing. Like one of my hobbies is hiking. So I love being out in nature, particularly in like mountains or walking by rivers. And I think what I enjoy so much about it is I take the time to appreciate what I've got. That makes me feel really good. To be appreciative, I think it lends itself to a really positive state of mind. But I think the real challenge actually is to be able to do it in a normal day to day. How can you take notice in a normal day at work, for example, when it feels like things are running the mill? So how I do that in the workplace is try not to get stuck on a particular task for too long, or just look for an opportunity to be grateful. Maybe think about what I have gratitude for on a daily basis, and then you can turn the mundane into something quite pleasant.
You've just said something exactly how I, would have worded something really, because I think human nature is you always want more, you want to do better, you want more, but actually, it's a blessing that we're here, and you should be whatever we have. We should be grateful for what we have. If we're healthy, we're happy, we've got a roof over our head, which is more than some. Yeah. We've got a fantastic job, fantastic colleagues, fantastic friends, and actually just to stand there for a minute and go, do you know what, I'm so lucky, look what I have got, rather than focusing on the I want. It is really important, and listening to you is like it's just key. I think you have to appreciate what we have and be blessed by it. Amen.
Well, that's the 5 ways to wellbeing. I've really enjoyed hearing you talk about your experiences and your strategies for exhibiting the 5 ways, and I hope anyone who listened to it enjoyed the podcast as well, and also maybe it's given them some ideas on how they can improve their mental wellbeing. So I guess before we finish, do you have any concluding remarks? Is there a message you'd like to give to people listening in regards to mental health? Is there anything you'd like to say?
I think the main message I'd like to give is be kind to yourself. Mm-hmm. Just be kind to yourself. Life isn't easy. It's not always what we want, but be kind.
Nice. On that note, I think that's a lovely way to finish the podcast. Thanks for coming in, Rachel.
Thank you, Luke. Thanks for having me.